What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. This is Orioles Today, and as always, I am Sean Ferguson. Thank you guys so much for starting your week with me here on this Monday. And as always, if you are a fan of this episode, please throw a four-seam fastball at the like button. And if you're a fan of this content, please subscribe. Get yourself daily notifications for all of these daily video drops on all things the Baltimore Orioles. The Orioles have announced over the weekend that they have made two more staffing hires for Craig Albernaz for the upcoming 2026 season. Another young gunning coach has been announced, this one in the 28-year-old Joe Singley, who has been announced to be the new field coordinator and catching coach in Baltimore. Singley played at Coastal Carolina back in 2022, but shoulder injuries derailed his playing career. He then got into coaching, and the Orioles have now brought him on to join the youth that is in that Albernaz staff. But with that, the O's have announced a veteran hire in the 51-year-old Miguel Cairo. Cairo will be the new interim coach in Baltimore. Cairo was the interim manager for the Washington Nationals last year. He was their bench coach back in 2024, but took over interim duties in 2025. He actually interviewed for the Nationals vacancy in that management position before they eventually gave it to Butera. So Cairo decided to leave, go down the road to Baltimore, and he has now joined Albernaz's staff that has really rounded itself out now. It's good to see the guys that decided to stay, and I'm pretty excited about the new hires that Albernaz has decided to bring on. A lot of guys he's familiar with, a lot of guys that are young, which I have no problem with that, but it's good to see Cairo and his veteran presence there in Baltimore. So I'm excited about that because trades and free agency signings are really going to start taking off here in a couple of days. So it's good to have your staff there for these players that you're getting ready to bring in, that they know who they're going to be playing for. Two guys that I want to talk about that I have seen in trade rumors and people say this guy should go, this guy should go. And as an Orioles fan, I talked about one of them being Ryan Mountcastle, the other being Coby Mayo, both guys holding it down at first base. And I talked about Ryan Mountcastle a few episodes ago. I like Mountcastle. Injuries, and when he has been healthy, it's kind of declined a little bit. But in my opinion, it's definitely been better than the 2 years we've seen of Coby Mayo. Coby Mayo did not have a good 2025. He didn't have a good 2024, with all that being said. But last year this year hit 217 with 11 home runs and 28 RBIs. And then in his 2 years he has been with the Orioles, he's just hit 201 in 304 at-bats. I will give Mayo a little credit. The Orioles have a stacked farm system, even more so a few years ago, and they started bringing all these guys up, like a Mayo, a Henderson, a Westberg, a Kerstad, a Cowser. Big expectations surrounded all of these guys. Some of them are living up to it, others are not, and Mayo is one of them. He is not panning out like we hope we would, and you could sit there and give him another season or two to see if he pans out. But if you are under this win-now mentality that Mike Elias is showing, especially with new ownership and Elias's new role, he wants to win now. So can you be patient with Mayo? Because it really looks like the patience is wearing thin, especially with Orioles fans, with guys out there in free agency that you can bring in to replace him at first base that would be more effective. It's hard to want to keep him there, especially over Ryan Mountcastle, who is getting the most trade buzz of the two first basemen. I think it's mainly because you could get more of a return from Mountcastle. But if you're just trying to upgrade and win now instead of getting prospects for another player or be a part of a trade package, Mayo, in my opinion, would be the guy to go. So who knows what the Orioles are going to do? Like I said, moves are going to start happening here very, very soon. And I know a lot of you guys said Mayo's got to go, Mountcastle's got to go, but it's really leaning more towards Coby. I know he's only been in the league for 2 years, but if you're trying to win now and you need to get better at first base, I would move on from Mayo. I don't see them moving on from both of the guys. That one of them is going to be there for sure. I really feel like they are going to move on from Mountcastle, even though I believe that is the wrong move out of the two guys. Only time will tell. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I know a lot of you guys are on the get Coby Mayo out of town train. I'm not on the get him out of town train. I'm more of, if you have to, like in your mind, you're going to trade one of the two guys, I'd rather see Mayo go. If you got to keep one there for depth, keep Mayo as depth, but play Mountcastle. we'll see how it goes. Injuries were horrific last year for us, and it really kind of derailed any plans they had, I do believe, at that first base position. But you got to see more of Mayo, and that wasn't a good thing. So let me know what you guys think, Mayo or Mountie. And another guy that I think the Orioles should pursue in a trade, that's going to be Pablo Lopez from the Minnesota Twins. Lopez is interesting because he is under contract currently with Minnesota through 2027. $73.5 million is what his extension was for. So it's nothing insane for the other guys that I've seen out in the free agency market, or even the guys that the Orioles could potentially trade for. Their contracts are much higher. And Lopez is a guy, when he was healthy, he had a good 2025, but injuries did plague him a bit. He had a 2.74 ERA in 14 games played last year for Minnesota, had a 5-4 record, but again, injuries really held him back to his fullest potential. Last year for Minnesota, over his career, he has pitched to a 3.81 ERA and 59 wins. And honestly, if he can kind of pick up where he left off being healthy from 2025 into next year, why not want a guy like that? Especially, hey, you could throw a Kobe Mayo in a trade possibly for him, as the Twins, and the reason I'm talking about this a little more is the Minnesota Twins are really trying to restructure their budget, and some of these guys on their roster that have bigger contracts, like a Pablo Lopez, are being more in the trade rumors. So it is a possibility that he is going to be moved. So why not, if you are the Orioles, try to go after him? Mike Elias has shown that he does like trades the past couple of years more than signing guys to multi-year free agency contracts. So Pablo Lopez could be a guy. I wouldn't mind bringing in the righty. I think he's good when he's healthy. And I'm not saying bring him in to be your ace, but he could definitely be a middle of the rotation for Baltimore in 2026 while you still go look for a true ace out there, or another middle guy to go with Lopez if they want to stick to Trevor Rogers being the ace for the Orioles in 2026. So Pablo Lopez is another guy that I think the Orioles should pursue in that starting rotation. Let me know what you guys think about Lopez. I know a few of you have said bring him on, so let me know what you think down in the comments. And speaking of your comments, I want to go ahead and get into that for this past week. And again, for all these videos that I've posted, you guys have been awesome and interacting with one another. I'm trying to respond to as many comments as I possibly can, and it's a lot harder with posting a video every single day. It's hard to keep up with them. So some of these comments from this past week that I wanted to go over, just respond to some of you guys. And again, thank you for continuing to leave comments down at the bottom. It really does mean a lot. And for you guys keeping me humble and on my toes. I know I'm not the best when it comes to certain things, like, hey, pronouncing words. It could be a little tougher on the go, so I appreciate you guys again. Keep me honest down in the comments. And speaking of some of those comments I wanted to get into, one from Wesley Wingate. What is Elias supposed to say about Adley? He has been bad for a year and a half. His throwing has been bad for longer, and oblique injuries tend to keep him back. There is no way they re-sign him after these last 2 years. Orioles fans latch on to players if they underperform for multiple years. I can see where you're coming from with that, especially since I touched on it before. Adley Rutschman is one of those guys that when he came up, he kind of was the guy. He kind of turned the whole vibe around and the culture around in Baltimore when he was called up and made his big league debut. And that's really when the Orioles start to pick it up and start to win and contend. So I can understand why Orioles fans, including myself, are latching on to him. And when he's a guy that you're expecting to be the franchise of the team, it's hard to let him go. It's hard to want to trade him. Even if he's having a bad couple of seasons, even if injuries are holding him back, it's harder to let him go. And like I said, as a diehard Orioles fan myself, it's harder to, if you do trade him away, to see him play on another team, because I don't think he's going to be bad forever. I just think he's having a bad stretch. So Elias absolutely said the right things, but I think he's going to stay true to it. I don't see an Adley trade. I see him staying an Oriole for a long time, or as long as they can. And I do believe they're going to try to extend him after these last couple of years before he starts to be able to hit free agency. I don't see him going anywhere. I see their franchise. I see them trying to keep him there for a long time. Self-witness, he posted, G-Rod has the stuff, but I don't know if he has the mentality to be a closer. That's another type of assassin mind. Never thought of G-Rod as having that killer streak. Very talented, but not a gunslinger. I understand that, but he does have really good control in his pitches. And if you can get him right now where he's coming from that injury side of things, maybe not a closer, but if you can get him there, maybe in the back end of that bullpen, maybe as a setup guy, you can get him there in smaller doses. I think he will be very, very effective, especially if you're putting him on some type of a pitch count when he's coming back from injury. We'll see what happens in spring. But I think if you can at least put him there in the back end of the bullpen, I think he would be a really good setup guy because he's not having to pitch as long and put as much wear and tear on his body. So when he does eventually come back fully healthy and get back into a starter role, I think that's going to be best for everybody. Ken Silverstone, to get Bellinger, the O's would have to outbid the Yankees and the Dodgers for a start. Does anyone think that's going to happen? I don't. I'm with you. I know a lot of people and a lot of you guys have said it's a pipe dream. It's a pipe dream. The Orioles understand what everyone else is doing. The Orioles understand that the Dodgers, in a sense, are buying rings. The Dodgers are going to be the team to beat for a long time, especially if the MLB continues to allow these deferred payments, as it feels like Shohei's not going to really make any money for like another 20 years. So the Dodgers are going to continue to buy these guys as guys like Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts will start to retire. They're going to keep buying more and more and more and more. So, yeah, the O's are going to have to outbid the Dodgers and the Yankees, and it's going to be extremely, extremely tough because guys know that, hey, if I just sign with these teams, I could win right now because this guy's like me, this guy's like me, this guy's like me, this guy's like me. So instead of, some guys want to go to a team and be the guy, but some guys want to go and win a ring right away, and they know that if they go to the Yankees and the Dodgers, there's a much better chance of doing that. So it is going to be a lot tougher for the Orioles. I'm not saying it's not. I still think they're going to get a star in free agency, but it's going to be really, really tough. A few more here. I have James Blauser. Personally, I believe on a business side of things, the Orioles should pursue Bellinger for the outfield, Diaz for the closer, Michael King for the starter role, and even Dylan Cease for our number 2 guy in our rotation. Yeah, that's a lot. I don't believe the Orioles are going to come close to getting all those guys, even though that would be absolutely amazing. I just don't see Dylan Cease becoming an Oriole. I think he is going to want more money than the Orioles are going to be able to offer. And just like the last comment that I touched on, the Dodgers or Yankees are going to be able to outbid them on that for sure. Dan Odell, Buxton would fit in nicely in center field if only they could find a way. No over 32 pitchers. Yeah, that's the thing that the Orioles have been doing as of late, especially with when it comes to trading for players. And then you have the free agency pickup as well. Like the Charlie Morton thing still haunts me. I don't know why they decided to go that route, just putting Band-Aids on things instead of really investing. So yeah, Buxton I think will be a nice fit. And I think this is funny going into the next comment. Jaden Moon, Buxton's injury history scares me. Duran will be another lefty bat. I want Bader bad. Yes, but this day and age in baseball, I feel like everyone is dealing with injuries. I know the Orioles dealt with it a lot more than other teams last year, but that injury bug has just been more and more aggressive as the years go on. And that's what you're kind of paying for. You're paying for the hope of they won't get injured. And we'll just see with Buxton. I think Buxton would be a good fit out there in center field. Good defense, a great bat. And I said Harrison Bader. I believe he would be a good addition too. He would be a much cheaper option than Buxton as well. So yes, you can go for talent. I think the Orioles are going to go for, and this is just me as an Orioles fan living with it as long as I have, the Orioles are going to go the cheaper route than the talent route. They have proven that over the last 7 years with Mike Elias. Even though we have a new owner, I still think that is going to be the route that they are eventually going to go. They're going to give guys money, but it's going to be guys that are more available when it comes to finances, and Harrison Bader is one of those guys, so that would be a really good addition. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this latest episode of Orioles Today. If you are a fan of this episode, please throw a 4-seam fastball at the like button. If you're a fan of this content, please subscribe. Get yourself daily notifications for all of these daily video drops on all things the Baltimore Orioles. Please continue to comment down at the bottom. Let me know what you guys think about the topics that I went over. And I'd love to continue to interact with you guys. You are the reason why this channel continues to grow. Thank you so much for all the love and support. I will see you guys on the next episode. Again, this is Orioles Today. I am Sean Ferguson, and let's go O's.